when they were going through the Red Sea. So they were trapped. The ocean covered them up. Okay? And who knocked down the walls of Jericho? It was the angels of God who knocked down those walls. Okay? Praise God. So we have a part to play. We shout. We shout in faith. But it's the angels of God who knock down the walls. Okay? Praise God. Now, against the spiritual host of wickedness in the heavenly places. Well, in the heavenly places. Where are those heavenly places that the spiritual hosts of wickedness are? They got kicked out of God's heaven, so they're not there. They're not in the third heaven. Okay? And they're not visible because we can't see them. So they're in the second heaven. Okay? There is a heaven where the devil and the hosts of wickedness hang out. Okay? Genesis 28:10. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba. This is the story of Jacob when he left Isaac and Rachel, and he went to find his wife Rachel. He went to his uncle Laban. Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night because the sun had set. And he took some of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set upon the earth, and its top reached to heaven. And there the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it. Okay, so the ladder was on the earth, and it descended into heaven, and God was at the top, and the angels were going up and down. He had this vision. He saw it. He saw it with his own eyes. When you see something, you get it. You understand what you see, right? If you see something, that means something to you. Hearing that Jacob saw it is interesting. But when you see it, that really means something. Okay? So Jacob really saw it, and it really meant something to him. And God let him see it. Amen. Now, Jacob put his head on a rock. What does that tell you? It tells me he was broke. He had nothing. If you had a coat, I think you would put your head on your coat. If you had a bag of food, I think you would put your head on your bag of food. How many people ever put your head on a rock to go to sleep? I have. I had nothing at the time. Okay? When you have nothing, you think about putting your head on a rock. If you can do better, you don't put your head on a rock. So this kid left his family, and he had nothing. When he came back, 20 years later, he was rich, 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 rich. He had flocks of camels, flocks of cattle. He had flocks of sheep. He had flocks of goats. He had shepherds. He had men servants. He had maid servants. He had 12 children. He was rich. And they say his uncle Laban was poor. He got everything, and he came back to where he came from. God had blessed him. Now, personally, you know the story of his wages, right? He worked 7 years for his wife, Rachel. And then Uncle Laban gave him the older sister, Leah. So he worked another 7 years for Rachel again. Okay? And, you know, Jacob was a trickster, he was a cheater, he was a deceiver, but Uncle Laban was worse. And Uncle Laban tricked the trickster, okay? So, Jacob got right with God, and then after 14 years later, he said, you know, it's not right that you should work for me for nothing. And Jacob said, oh, you don't have to pay me. If 2 black sheep have a baby and it's white, that'll be my wages. So we'll separate all the white sheep from the black sheep, and if any of the black sheep have white babies, those will be mine. So Laban's going, I don't have to pay this guy very much. That's never going to happen. All the black sheep started having white babies. Okay. And then Laban goes, bad idea. let's say if white sheep have black babies, then that could be Jacob. So he changed the rules, they rearranged it. Okay, all of a sudden, all the white sheep started having black babies. Then he changed the rules. Okay, well now they're going to be striped. Okay, oh now they're going to be speckled. Now they're going to be spotted. The Bible says that Jacob, they changed his wages 7 times, and every time they changed the rules, all the sheep had babies according to the formula, and they became Jacob's father. And so he did that for 6 years. Now in 6 years, all the babies were his, and all the old sheep belonged to Uncle Laban. So he had everything. But do you think it was the sticks that he put in front of those sheep, or do you think it was the angels of God blessing Jacob? He had seen that vision. He had seen how the angels would go up and down that staircase. And he had pressed in, and the Holy Ghost was there then too. Right? He figured out how it worked. And God blessed him. Okay? Now, he said to his wives and his children, he said, we're going to go back to where I came from. And of course, they'd never been out of town. So he had to explain to them why we're going to go somewhere else. Okay? Because they didn't think that was a great idea, probably. And in Genesis 28, actually in 31:11, this is Jacob's testimony to his wife. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob, and I said, here I am. And he said, lift up your eyes now and see. All the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, gray spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. God saw the way that Laban was mistreating Jacob, and he blessed him by making the sheep have babies that were according to the formula, so that Jacob would get all those sheep. Okay? So, I had a job on the other side of the river, working for Solomon Brothers, and for 25 years I worked for Mike Bloomberg, and you've all heard of him. He's a nice guy, but he was my boss for 25 years. Anyway, so I went to Mike and said, I want to go to the front office of Solomon, get in a management training program, something like that. He said, okay. And then Mike left and started his own company. And so I'm working for other people. I used to work for Mike, and then now I'm working for other people. And this is my little testimony. And I'm working for this guy, Dave, and we're both, the big boss, his name is John. And John used to be the biggest salesman in the company. And the company was a rich company. And he would tell us stories. Now, one of the stories was they used to have this financial prophet at Solomon Brothers, and whenever he spoke, the markets would move. And he would give a speech, and it would be printed and mailed to all the customers. And when it came out, man, just like the market would go up, the market would go down. Like this guy was like right on the money for about 3 years. Every time he gave a speech, the market would move. So all the customers wanted, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? He's going to give a speech on Tuesday. I want to know what he's going to say. And so John said, well, I figured in order to mail that speech to all the customers, it had to be in the print shop. And there was a window in the print shop, like a cafeteria, rolled up with a little counter. And so I went in on Friday afternoon and I unlocked the window. And then on Sunday, I came to work and I opened that window and slid through. And I got some of the copies of the speech. And, on Monday, I gave them to my clients. So that when this guy gave the speech on Tuesday, they already knew what he was going to say. So, this guy thought that kind of behavior was just normal if you want to make a buck, right? That was his idea of normal. And so I witnessed to him, and he'd gone to a Jesuit school, and he had told me, man, one time I ran down the stairs when I was a freshman in college, and there was a brother, a monk, at the bottom of the stairs, and when I got to the bottom, he went, bam, and hit me right in the jaw, knocked me down, and said, you don't run up the stairs. And I think that's what his idea of God was like, tough guy. You know, that's definitely his idea of the church. And so I'm witnessing to him about Jesus. And he says, well, Mac, what if your wife, no, what if God calls you to be a missionary and your wife doesn't want to go? I said, well, that's really easy. God knows I'm married. If he wants me to be a missionary, he'll talk to my wife. And when I said that, I could see the smoke coming out of John's ears. And I knew in my heart that he was angry. He was really angry. But he wouldn't show it, of course. And then I applied for the management training program, and I interviewed 3 people, and I didn't get in. And I was a little disappointed, but, you know, kept working. And in the next 6 months, I bumped into all those 3 people doing my job. And each one of them said something along the lines of, hey, Mac, how's the training program? And I go, well, yeah, that's nice, I didn't get in. They said, oh. And they all looked surprised. So I realized that all 3 people had recommended me to get into the training. So therefore, if everybody I spoke to recommended that I get in, how come I didn't? So I went to the administrator and asked him that question, and he's like backed up against the wall. He had no answer. And so that was a little bit of a mystery. And, oh yeah, I'm praying one day, and God says, you're going to get your boss's job. So my boss, Dave, did the same thing that I did. And so I didn't know how that was going to happen. And I tried to make it happen, you know, like Abraham tried to have a baby. You know. I went to John and I said, hey, John, why don't you take what Dave does and what I do, and we'll both report to you. And, you know, split our jobs up. John, get out of my office. Get out. I'm lucky you didn't fire me. Anyway, about 18 months later, the Holy Ghost says, Mac, go tell your boss you're not busy now. So I went and said, I'm not busy now. And the next day, Dave comes back and says, John and I think we should go to work somewhere else. Anyway, so they were really nice to me because I brought it up. So they gave me an office. There was a secretary. And she was in Mr. Barnes' office. So I went in, shut the door, turned out the lights for 3 days, prayed in tongues. And after 3 days, I said, you know, maybe I should make a phone call or something, you know. And so I said, who knows a lot of people that can introduce me to people I want to meet and interview? And I said, well, Mike Bloomberg knows everybody. I'll go call Mike. So I called Mike and get over. He tried to hire me instantly. I said, I got to talk to my wife. You got to let me out. Anyway, so the next day I'm working with Mike. And about a month later, he said, you know, Dave was over here. And we were drinking champagne, celebrating the fact that he joined in our company. And when John heard about it, the big boss, he got all jealous and made all kinds of promises to Dave. And Dave went back to Solomon. And I'm going, I got my boss's job. And I go, how could that ever happen? I got my boss's job in a way that I never could have made it happen. Right? And it's some other company, a job that he took and he left and went back. Okay? And I'll tell you this guy, John, you know what he did? He had some partner that was going to retire, and this partner made Dave all kinds of promises. Oh, we're going to make you a partner, we're going to raise your salary, you love you, got a great future, and everything like that. You know what happened? 3 months later, the guy retired. The guy made all the promises. Anyway, so Mike told me, you know, John blackballed me from getting in the training. And he said, and I realized this because, you know, John thought I couldn't lie and cheat. And therefore, I would never be able to make a lot of money. Because he knew that I wouldn't lie, cheat, and steal. But, you know, God knew what Laban was doing to Jacob. God knew what that guy was doing to me. And God put me in Bloomberg. And that company, when I joined, I had 18 employees. When I retired, I had 8,000 employees. That was a fantastic job. And I asked God many times, but I didn't get an answer. But now I know. Why did you tell me? Why did you tell me 18 months before it happened that it was going to happen? Because there was no way I could ever have figured it out or done anything to change it, make it happen. The answer is, so I would know that God set that up. So I would know that God put me in that job. It wasn't anything I did. It wasn't a lucky phone call. God put me in there. And how does that happen? That happens. Angels get all set up. Angels, they just open the doors for you. Okay? And we're going to talk about now more than angels. We're going to talk about how to get it happening for us. Daniel 10:12. Then he, the angel, said to me, Daniel, do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. Okay, so what happened? As soon as Daniel started to pray, God sent the angel. But there was opposition. The king of Persia. You think the king of Persia was the guy who's sitting on a chair in Persia? No. It was an invisible angel, a fallen angel, withstood the angel of God and delayed him. But Daniel kept praying. So your angels need your prayer support to keep fighting the fight to get into you with your blessing. Hallelujah. And then God sent another angel, Michael, one of the chief princes. Okay, so Michael is a prince of the angels in heaven. But the angel that went to Daniel was being withstood by the princes of Persia. Okay, in the second heaven. So Jacob must have seen the whole thing. If there is opposition in the second heaven, and he saw the ladder going from the heaven where God is down to the earth, and the angels going up and down. If there was any opposition, he would have seen that too. Because he saw everything, and he had the thing working for him, okay? So you want to have the thing working for you? Now you understand it. Now you see it, okay? So these fallen angels disrupt your blessings. When you pray a prayer, they stop it, okay? But they can't stop it if you keep praying. They can't stop it when you keep praying. When you keep praying, your angel gets through. When you get blessing that you're looking for. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Jesus. So that's the spirits that we wrestle against. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood. I do not wrestle against John or David. We wrestle against wicked spirits in heavenly places. And principalities and rulers of the darkness of this world. And the principalities, the princes of Persia, who do you think knocked down the World Trade Center with the princes of Persia? We're still fighting the same princes. They're very territorial. They haven't moved. They're in the same spot. Hallelujah. And we're fighting the same war. Thank you, Jesus. And in Christ we have the victory. I was standing in front of the World Trade Center. I wasn't standing, I was in a taxi. And a plane hit us. And I said to the drivers, it's funny, they don't allow sonic booms around here. I heard boom, boom. And the stones came down all around because we were literally in front of the door. It was on my right hand. Psalm 91:1. And he shall give his angels charge over you. You shall see the wicked, that it shall not come nigh thee. 10,000 shall fall, 1,000 shall fall at thy right hand. Okay, thank you, Jesus. And when I was in Haiti the day of the earthquake. But I took the plane home at 2, and the earthquake was at 5. Earthquake this week. Okay, so